Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Asshole podcast. I'm joined by my lovely co-host.
Hey, Sara Levine. You just looked at me.
I'm going to look at you, Sara. That's part of this.
I thought you were going to say my name. Okay, sorry.
And we got a very special guest here, Casey Balsham. She's... Go ahead.
Hello.
Clearly, this is my fault. I don't know
That's
where
all
to
I
look.
was
I don't know
gonna
what
say.
to
So
look.
weird.
What's happening? I'm closing my eyes to the rest of the show.
I apologize.
So, Casey, you are a very funny comedian. I was
Thanks
just
so much.
watching your set about relationships. Super funny.
Thank you.
You were single for a long time.
I was into my 30s, which
Wow, there's hope.
yeah, there really is. 'Cause you do turn that corner when you're like, I guess I'm fine with this. Because I
Yeah.
actually liked being single. I really did. I never was like, I mean, there was part of me that was like, oh my God, my insides are dying and I really want a kid. But
Right.
the other side of that was like, hooking up with strangers can be fun.
Kind of fun.
Listen,
Hoeing in general.
I miss making out with strangers. I mean, what I will say, what I don't miss making out with is coworkers, and then you have to work with them again and see them
yep.
again. Because I was a huge, I would pull from the company ink all the time. I would make out
God.
with everybody I worked with, and then you'd have to come the next day, like scene of the crime, and be like, oh my God, what part of my body did you see? And then that would always get a little like weird,
Yeah.
But a good makeout sesh, because when you're closing your eyes, it doesn't really matter who it is.
That's so likable and innocent and like
So
lighthearted.
wholesome.
It's because even when you're in a relationship, I know you're in a relationship as well. Like we still you hook up and you do things, but like there's not as much like just straight macking as there is. Like
Interesting.
because sometimes it's just like it's late and you just get to the punches, So
Yeah.
I do miss a good just like full on
Mac.
horny mac.
Because if a
session.
guy told me this,
know?
I'd be like,
Fun
"Oh, I'm
times.
so sorry. I'm sorry. That's how it's going for you, man. You're bragging about your making out. Like, I don't know what's wrong
No,
with
but
you."
it's fun.
No, I know. I don't think it sounds the same from a woman because this is just different.
I think we are. I think as women, I mean, I'm speaking with no information to back this up or personal stories that I've heard from other people. But I think for women, I think we do like kissing a little more.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
probably.
it's for
Yeah.
you're kind of saying like, this is what we're doing. For him, he's like, I can't believe this is all we're doing.
Yeah.
You're the
Oh,
one
exactly.
kind of calling
Yeah.
the shot.
Yeah.
That's great. And now
Yeah.
you were also saying you put out an album recently.
I did. Well, it's available for pre-order now, and it's officially out October 10th. So
Congratulations. What's the
thank
name
you
of
so
it?
much. It's called Son of a Barb because there's a lot of jokes about my mom whose name is Barb. So
Okay.
we just went with Son of a Barb.
So good.
Son of a Barb.
Is that one of your punchlines or is it just
No,
kinda
it
tangential?
actually just kind of it is tangential.
risky.
It's just something that I thought of, and I told my producer. He's like, I kind of love it, and I'm
That's
like, well,
amazing.
then we're kind of doing it. But fun fact, recorded the album about 6 months ago, so it took a little while to get it out.
Wow.
Yes, and it's one of those things, and now I listen to it, and I'm like, what was I talking about?
You forgot it.
But go get it, guys. It's going to be a blast.
That's
Yay.
great. Well,
Yeah.
it's so good to have you here
Thanks
on
for
the
having
show.
me. Appreciate it.
Now, you weren't here last week or a couple weeks ago, but basically
wasn't.
we got this letter in our submission. Sara, tell the listeners about this submission we got. Pretty gratifying.
Basically, this girl was asking if she was the asshole. Why? Because her boyfriend wanted to quit his job. And at first we're like, yeah, that's totally reasonable. Like, what a deadbeat, blah, blah, blah. Then you come to find out they're both two full-time college students. They're both working 2 jobs. She might have been working 3 jobs and he was like working
Insane.
2. And he wanted to quit one of his 2 jobs so he could focus on school. And she was like, would I be the asshole for like walking away because he's just going to give up when it's hard and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And we were like,
Yeah,
yes.
we were kind of like, this girl's an asshole, but like I respect her.
Oh,
'cause
yeah,
she's
she
just
was-
work ethic. She was like,
Yeah.
pull yourself up by your bootstraps, Republicans.
She was so hardworking.
But she sent us a letter.
Yeah,
She
oh my
said,
God.
update, I was the asshole. Look at that. Taking
Oh,
ownership. She
wow.
says she submitted the post and she admitted that it was totally unfair of her to paint the situation like he was a deadbeat. She agrees that she's the asshole in the situation and they've worked it out.
Yeah.
Did you guys agree that did you guys make her the asshole?
Yeah.
did.
It was
We
like
agreed.
a soft asshole.
Yes. So
Because we were like, you seem like a great person who's very hardworking, but don't break up with your boyfriend over
right.
this.
It's going to be the next TV show by the guy that has all the TV shows is Asshole-ish.
Yes.
Her boyfriend ended up keeping both jobs, and he now has a shorter work schedule that he can handle, and we have a more balanced relationship, she writes. She says, I also want to say this is the first time anything like this has happened in our 4-year relationship, so working it out instead of me leaving was the right move for us. Thanks for all the feedback.
Yay.
Wow.
What a gem, huh?
See, this is where it pays off to not be like Reddit when you're like, dump him, go to the gym, get a lawyer.
Right. Reddit is just so eager, like just full gun
Reddit
out.
is like me, but they don't have to live with the consequences. They're just like, cut them off. They're dead to you.
Yeah. Reddit is constantly like a buzzed 20-year-old. Just like, I make bad decisions.
All right, well, we got a couple juicy stories for you today. Our second story, AITA for revoking my donation that would help disadvantaged women out of principle. But first, AITA for sleeping naked on top of the covers to teach my flatmates GF a lesson, not a lesson. I don't know what that is.
Teach my lesson.
By you, Billy Butt Pimples, which is a good
Okay.
username. Not great, but very good, I would say.
Pretty good.
Top 100.
Wowza.
I, 21 guy, live with my childhood best friend, 22, also a guy, and have done so for 2 years now. Up until last week, things were perfect between us. However, he recently got a new girlfriend, 23, lady.
Thanks.
Thanks for clarifying. Well, you never know.
And she honestly seems absolutely great, except for one thing. She seemingly has a complete aversion to knocking. She and I have quite a lot in common, and I actually like spending time with her. However, it bugs the hell out of me when she just barges into my room without knocking first. Now, she's never walked in on me doing anything untoward. I'm usually, weird way to put it.
Big
I'm
word.
usually just chilling on my bed or studying at my desk. However, on at least 7 separate occasions, now she's done it. First thing in the morning to ask if I want coffee. I sleep naked. Every time prior to the last one, I've been under the covers and she hasn't seen anything. I always point out that she could have, and she just giggles and says, but I didn't. When she stayed over last week, in order to make my point, I intentionally slept on top of the covers. Sure enough, she barges in at 7 a.m., begins to ask if I want coffee, and sees my you-know-what. She immediately backed out of the room and didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. My mate later pulled me aside and said I was bang out of order. I'm guessing he means being out of order.
No, I think it's English.
He was banging out of order.
I was bang out of order.
Yep.
Accused me of deliberately exposing myself and pointed out that I'd, quote, threatened, end quote, to do it before. I literally just said, okay, but what if I had no covers and you saw everything before? They're now framing this to others that I'm some sick creep who intentionally got naked and lay in wait of her because that's how I get my rocks off. And I'm kind of seeing how it came off that way. AITA for doing this.
I gotta be honest. I'm not. The fact that he said multiple times, supposedly, like, I sleep naked. You could have seen me naked. And she giggled and said, but I didn't.
Yeah, there's like part of me that thinks that there is a slight flirtation. I think when you're that young too, I think if you're a girl like dating a guy, like I think that there's always like a little bit of like, you kind of want both guys to like have a crush on you or something. Like it feels like there was
Right.
maybe a little bit of flirtation anyway. And so it was just kind of like,
I guess I wonder
You
to
know?
me if it was like my boyfriend's friend who I clearly had no interest in seeing naked. The first time he was like, hey, I sleep with no clothes on. Like if you barge in at the wrong moment, you're going to see, I would be like, oh shit. Okay. Point taken. And I will never do this again.
Right.
Like, why would you keep doing it?
I mean, look, I got major qualms with this chick.
Yeah, same.
First
Who
of
has an
all,
aversion to knocking?
You knock.
It's the simplest thing.
It is the most literal form of boundary.
Here's-
a physical object that you
This
are
is
not
true. This is
respecting.
true.
I used to have a friend, my friend Brandon, who's now married to, I was his best man, and his wife lived with me in our house. And
Yeah.
I basically lived in like a garage that was converted into a room. Because
Bleak.
in Arizona, you don't need insulation. No, it wasn't bleak. That's the amazing part. It was wonderful. And I had a front door.
Right.
I had a front door, and he would always knock on my door. And I'm like, no, knock on the home's front door.
What?
Damage, because like he would just try to knock on my front door. I'm like, no, you're not here to see me. You're
He
here to
just
see-
wanted to get in the house
Yeah,
through
he
the
wanted to
garage.
mess with me.
Yeah.
He wanted to mess with me. Be like, what's up, bro? And I'm like, no,
Oh my
what's
God,
up?
that's
No, what's up?
fucking annoying.
Yeah.
You know what's up. I have questions though.
What's down?
This sounds a lot to me though. I wonder, I mean, I want to ask this girl how many siblings she has, because this feels like I come from a family of 6. This is just what we do type of family. Do you know what I mean?
No.
A
It
boundaryless.
It feels
I
like
feel
a
you on that.
boundaryless family. It also feels like, coming as somebody who I live with a partner, I live with my boyfriend, and we have a roommate. There is sometimes you do feel a little, when it's like 2 against 1, you do feel a little more like it's your place. Like I've definitely sat and like walked through the house and maybe just a bra, whereas like she wouldn't do that because it's my boyfriend. You know what I mean? So there might
Right.
also
Yeah.
be a little bit of like a comfort level there.
Okay.
But again, I think that there was a little bit of testing on both of their parts. And I think that there's a secret, I think that they secretly kind of
You
were
think
flirty.
Well,
But
look,
she's
secretly
boundaryless.
wanted her to see him naked and vice versa?
I think everybody kind of secretly wants to see dicks and stuff. So, I mean, I think that we all.
Wow, weird statement. Send Casey your dick pics. Airdrop your penises to Casey.
here's my theory. First of all, I think on most of this, you're 100% right.
Thank you so
There's
much.
some flirtation going on.
A little bit of bent.
Right.
A little bit of bent.
I've brought this to Sarah, and you
Yeah.
can shut me down,
Yeah.
but I think this is a thing. Women don't like to. They don't like to create, they like to live in the land of ambiguity. They like to live in the land of plausible deniability.
I think everyone does.
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so. I don't think so. I love a good, explicit, clear, I love it. Oh, come on, romance, it's a girl thing. Anyway, look, it doesn't matter.
Romance.
I'm
That's not the
saying-
same as plausible deniability.
Oh, I think it is.
No, how?
Because that's what romance is.
feel like
You don't want to define anything. You don't want to lock it down.
You're describing every man on this fucking earth. Are you serious?
But once he tries
don't
to, okay, go ahead.
No,
There's a lot
I
of
have-
single hostility.
I have
coming
nothing
off
else to
you.
say. Not wanting to lock it down, define things. What was the other thing you said?
I forgot. I'm
Men
scared.
invented all those things.
That's very much men from
Thank
17 to
you.
53.
Everybody likes plausible deniability because nobody wants to like admit when they're in the wrong. So I
This is
think
true.
everybody likes this.
Okay.
This is true.
Well, applying it to this situation, what I see here is that they were both in the land of plausible deniability. But once she saw his dick, they exited that land. They left Eden because they were given the knowledge of the dirty part. And then it wasn't fun for her anymore. And she maybe was kind of messed up by it.
Maybe he just has a small dick. No, okay.
Whoa, oh wow! now I'm violated by that. There's nothing
yeah,
wrong.
we don't have a size in here. Which
Well,
I
don't
really
know.
feel like
it could be a
this-
grower. It could be a grower. Nothing wrong with having a grower.
Dear reader, please include pics and measurements
I'm just
next
saying.
time so we can make a full judgment.
Yeah, really.
I think that it was a test, and I think that she probably didn't think that it would happen.
Yeah.
And then going back, like for her, because I think you're right. I think she realized she was wrong, and then immediately when people think that they're wrong, they get defensive. So then she became like, "Oh, well, it was threatened before," when it wasn't threatened before.
She
Like,
realized
but
she was wrong.
It was a warning. It's not the same, I don't think.
Wait.
You think he
You're
gave
saying
a
she
warning?
realized she was wrong when she saw the peen? That's when it clicked?
Yeah, I think she probably
so.
realized and then went, "Oh, fuck, he wasn't messing around before," and then maybe started to question some of her own. Like I think there's something. Maybe she's like, maybe I was wrong on this. You know what I mean?
She was clear. She was in the wrong the whole time. Like she should have just knocked. I don't know. I don't
Wait,
understand.
did this guy say that he told his friend
He
that
was
she
like-
was doing this?
No, that's actually a good point.
Did she tell the boyfriend?
That's a good point. He should have been like, "Hey, can you get your girlfriend to seriously stop opening my
'cause
door without knocking?"
Especially since, Exhibit A, first, if they've been friends since childhood, which, good for them for staying it. Because I feel like, I think we've talked about this because, there's some people that in your life that you're like, if I met them today, I would not be friends with them. But like,
Right.
because you've known them forever, you're like, I guess I'm going to keep you, even though you're a fucking shithead. But if you've known this guy since you were children, you'd be like, hey, mate, because they're English, mate. Your gal, your bird.
your best accent.
I've been watching a lot of Love Island. Hey, mate. Your bird's hasn't been knocking on my door. I'm gonna show her my willy. If you don't,
Cheerio.
I'm gonna show her my willy. If she's keeping this bent up. So.
Okay, I think that's a good point. And
Yes.
and I'm going to backtrack big time here, guys.
Okay.
He was also living in the land of plausible deniability. Because he could have been direct about it and he could have solved the problem, but he wasn't.
True,
Instead,
true.
his response was, "Oh, you could have seen my wee wee." I'm sure he said something better than that, but you
He
get it.
said Willie. We've established it.
Sorry,
It's
you
Willie.
could have said my willy, I mate.
My willy.
Well,
Wait, you guys.
You're right. I mean, these are just two immature people, and he called her
Very.
immature bluff.
Yeah, but also like there's locks on doors, right? That's like a thing that happens indoors,
So
right?
It's possible they
he
don't.
addressed it
Did he
later
say that
in
he
the
didn't have locks?
comments.
Oh,
he
he
said
did,
that it's
okay.
not allowed in his lease
To lock your door to your
put
bedroom.
a lock on the door. I don't have a lock in my bedroom door. Don't rob me. But I have one to my apartment. We have like
That's
2
wild.
deadbolts. Yeah, it was bad because one night someone left a single rose outside the door and I was like, cool, I'm going to get murdered. So I took
that's
my
right.
entire dresser and moved it in front of my door. And then I was like, if there's a fire, I'm dead. So cool. I'm just going to die tonight.
Oh my God. Oh, that's right. There was the mystery of the single rose. It still has
never
nothing.
That's
solved
so
it.
creepy.
Okay,
It was so creepy.
Things
That's
we
so
know
weird.
about England is that don't live there when you're 22. You
Yeah.
can't lock your doors.
Yep.
Jesus. Okay, so that makes me feel
so
a little.
he didn't directly solve the problem, which is a good point. He could have been like, stop doing this.
Yes.
Not
he
like,
wasn't drawing a boundary.
I mean, it sounds like he
Yeah.
Well, you're right.
he was having fun.
It was like an implicit boundary that you would think that someone who didn't want to see you naked would kind of pick up on. Like, hey, I sleep naked. Don't knock on the door or else you're going to barge in on me by accident.
He wanted it to happen.
They both wanted it to
They
happen.
both
Guys,
wanted it to happen.
You're projecting a lot.
Literally in 3 months, you're going to get a letter that's like, we're dating now.
It wouldn't surprise me.
You guys are, I think, projecting a
Now,
lot.
the commenters.
No.
Well,
I'm
you're
not
about
ready.
to get some comment back up. Kathy H
Okay.
says, there's people who came
Kathy.
for this guy big time. LOL at men in 2019 being like, quote, wait, am I an asshole for intentionally exposing my cock to a non-consenting woman? Shaking my head.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, even I wouldn't go that far, which is like
Yeah.
saying a lot. I mean, yes, technically, like on paper, everything that she just said is what happened, but also this is not in public. He was in his room. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, that's a
not.
good
It's not
point.
really fair. Like, what are you
This is
supposed
where we
to do?
go. Yeah, this is where we go now.
Right.
Everything is outrage and everything is offensive.
Right.
I'm so happy you said it, so
I
I,
think
didn't have to.
Kath, can we give an honorable asshole to Kathy?
We can. She's a really good commenter. I just think she's an attack dog, so she's always trying
As
to get
Danny
blood.
would say,
Kathy
she bit
H.
off more than she could chew.
Thank you, Sarah.
I said the way that, you know what, I've never brought this up before. The way that you apply that statement always bothers me because when you bite off more than you can chew, it doesn't
Yes.
mean that you said something that you can't back up. It means you took on too many tasks.
Right. Which is like saying
What is-
something you can't back up.
How?
You don't see how that's related to taking on too many tasks? You took on a task that you were unable to execute on.
Well, just because we don't agree with it doesn't mean that she couldn't back it up.
I don't think she could back that up
Why?
because there's not enough.
But everything she said is accurate. He kind of did intentionally expose his dick to a woman who did not explicitly consent to seeing his dick. Like, this is all
now
technically
you're trying
accurate.
to have your cake and eat it too, and you're chewing on
How?
too much.
No.
And so you think her point's good?
I don't agree with it, but that's not
It's conceptually broken. She wasn't a non-consenting woman.
how.
She opened his door.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that she consented to seeing his dick.
No, but I feel like it's this. I feel like it's like a don't touch that, it's hot. And they go, don't touch it, it's hot. Don't touch it, it's hot. And then finally you touch it, and guess what? It's fucking hot.
I'm
Like,
just saying she
don't
didn't
come in
bite
here,
off
you're
more
gonna
than
see
she
my
could
dick.
chew. If
Don't
we
come in
asked
here.
her, she could probably provide more evidence.
Chew.
No, that just means you don't agree.
Taylor L writes, why
You just don't agree.
I don't care if this wasn't deliberately sexual in nature. You exposed yourself to your flatmate's girlfriend on purpose and without consent. You could have, IDK, just locked your door. No, he couldn't have. Had a conversation with your friend about boundaries. That none of those things happened makes me seriously question OP's motive. Which I think we have successfully done here.
We sure did.
Wanted it to happen. She wanted it to happen. She knew what could happen. It was 7 times.
Where does it say that?
That's in the post,
Yeah,
Sarah.
7 separate times.
7 separate
to ask if he wants
times.
coffee.
Oh yeah, 7 separate occasions. Cool.
7
Yeah.
separate occasions.
Cool. Danny's like taking a personal vendetta against me because I came for his usage of a common idiom.
It's my favorite idiom.
happening.
It's so beautiful.
It's happening. Okay.
So beautiful.
Ananya P writes, NTA, who opens a closed door to someone else's room without knocking as a guest in someone else's apartment? And not only once, but multiple times early morning after being told not to. If I had a roommate whose guest kept doing this to me, they would have been banned from coming over after the second time. Imagine if she did that while OP was in the bathroom. This is a basic boundary violation. You can't just rip open doors. And speaking of cheesy phrases, I'm not as big of a fan of this one.
Okay.
But when someone doesn't knock, oh no, I'm getting it backwards. It's when someone doesn't close the door behind them, then we say, were you born in a barn?
What?
When
never
someone
heard
leaves
that?
the door
No.
open. Someone leaves the door open, you go, what are you, born in a barn?
Yeah, why do you say that? Because
Why?
barn doors automatically close?
I don't know because now
knows.
Are we like in an old timey saloon where they just kind of
That's
swing
what I'm-
back and forth?
No,
would be
but if you
saloon.
think
You're
about
right.
it, everybody's literally getting their apartments done with now farm style doors.
Yeah.
So what are we even doing?
I don't know.
Because
the idiom must be retired.
Barn doors literally open from like the side, so it's even hard to like leave. It's a very
Barn doors open from the side.
yeah.
And they're usually left open. When I visualize a barn, I see the door half
It's open.
It's
Yeah.
open. So that's
Yeah.
why. It's customary to leave the door open.
Yeah.
Which seems crazy. What about the chickens?
Right.
I guess
What?
they can run
The
amok. They can run
the
amok.
chickens are outside. The chickens are contained
Oh
outside.
yeah, they're in
Okay.
a coop. Come on.
Yeah, the barn.
It's not amateur hour.
The barn is for the donkeys.
Okay, I'd
and
never
the
heard that
pigs.
saying before.
Well,
So
the truth is, Sarah, I can't address this idiom because it'd be biting off more than I could chew. Reddit.
Wow.
Comments. Are we ready? CZHUNC writes NTA. She knew it was a risk when she barged in. How is she not the pervert? Also, have you considered getting a lock?
Billy Butt
Yeah.
This is where he replies, no, the lease doesn't allow it.
I could see it.
I
It
mean-
could be like a fire hazard or something. If they're in college, like whatever.
Yeah, no, well, I think it's a bizarre policy, but
Same.
I don't remember if all of my dorms had locks on the bedroom, but also I spent my first 2 years sharing a room, so who knows? Okay.
so where do we land here? Because I'm not ready to call her a pervert. I mean, are we all kind of
No.
on board for the narrative of like they both knew what was happening? It was fun. It was a little flirtatious. It was
Yes.
a little sexy.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a flirtatious game that she lost. But also, I mean,
I don't know if
she
I would call it
probably didn't do it again. So maybe everybody is a
maybe
winner.
It was effective.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a fun game. It was
Oh
a
my
fun,
gosh.
flirtatious game.
Yeah, I think she was. I think
Or
they were
she just
flirting.
like didn't take it seriously. His threats or warnings seriously.
or she just.
I don't know. I'm not like buying this like they're conspiring to cheat narrative.
No, but you're going too far. You are going too far. I'm not going to say my phrase again.
I think there's also people that just don't fucking listen. Like there's just
Right, that's what I'm
people
saying.
who
It could have been
don't
this. Like he's
listen.
immature and he doesn't want to explicitly be like, "Don't fucking do this," or like solve the problem in a direct way. She's immature because she's like, "Tee, no, you won't." And so I don't necessarily think there has to be a flirtatious element.
Sarah, I mean, she's waking him up because she made him coffee.
She made everyone coffee.
I mean, but she doesn't.
Oh my
have
God,
to
when you
do
say it like that, she made him coffee.
She wants everyone to like her.
I'll go.
She
with
wants
you on
to
that.
be likable and doesn't want to be, because she's probably living there rent free.
This is what
Wants to be
happens.
like,
That's true.
I got to get in good favor.
When women want people to like them, they make them coffee. When men want people to like them, they show them their cocks. It's just the way of the world.
A tale as old as time.
Tale as old as time.
So, Sarah, you looked up here. Is this a crime?
Well,
And-
because everyone's calling her this like perv and
gosh.
being all like me too about it. And I'm like, is that even what's happening? And the answer is unequivocally, no, it's obviously not a crime. Like, yes, exposing your genitals to someone who's not consenting is a crime. However, you have to be doing this in public.
Yeah.
Doing it in the comfort of your room is not a crime.
yeah, you're
I
allowed
just
to be
thought
naked.
in your own apartment.
Yeah, you're allowed
Thank
to be
God.
naked in your own apartment with the blinds
Yep.
open.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
double check anyway because everyone was calling this girl like a perv.
calling her a perv?
I feel like a lot of our I think you're right. When I looked at the Reddit,
Yeah.
more people came for the girl, but on our Facebook group, we got a lot of angry ladies.
Yeah,
They're all
yeah.
coming for him.
Surprisingly, well, I didn't really comment on this one, but I was not one of those angry ladies for once.
Top dissenting comment on Reddit, yabba dabba doo, YTA. It only got 2 points, so only one other person thought this was worth upvoting.
Or like a lot of people downvoted and then a lot of people upvoted.
That's a good point. You
We
are
don't know.
you are a wise person. This person, yabba dabba doo, writes, you did it on purpose to teach her a lesson of what might happen. Unfortunately, it is wrong to push your point on her just because you knew you were kind of right, knowing she would have got embarrassed by this, but you did it anyway without any regard as to where it could blow.
Here,
Unfortunately, it blew back in your face. Mend your relationship with her and your best friend. For a stupid thing like this, don't let your friendship suffer.
see, I see this person's point because yes, he was right and it did ultimately work. But he actually said that he has a lot in common with the girlfriend and he likes her. And it's like, oh, well, you just nuked that relationship
Yeah.
because you wanted to be right.
Well, and I think also to play on her side a little more. They were playing this game, and maybe he showed it intentionally, right? Like he sleeps naked, but with no covers. Like you can
Right. Does he
conceal.
sleep spread eagle? Like
Well,
it's a
just-
little bit.
Is he a hostage? Who sleeps spread eagle? I'm
like-
agreeing with you.
Yeah, it doesn't
that's
make sense.
crazy.
You could have showed her like your butt. And I think then you
Yeah.
could have had a little
But
laugh,
why-
gotten over it.
But why does the person sleeping in their own bed have to adjust their behavior because somebody else is intruding? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
why do we have to adjust behaviors because other people don't know how to be
Because
regular?
that's not how he naturally behaves. He made a clear change in his behavior to prove this point and was kind of driving a bit of a nuclear bomb.
But, like,
so
what
he
if
could
in
have
the
made
summer-
it like just a regular bomb. I don't know.
I'm not mad at him. I just think that like maybe
I think it was like foolish.
it was
a little
on
bit.
purpose.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Oh, no, totally.
To say another idiom, I think he shot himself in the foot a little bit because now he's nuked this relationship with his girlfriend and his friendship is suffering now.
Yeah.
But I
It's
guess
true.
they won't barge into his room anymore.
Yeah.
So what's more important?
I gotta say that I am leaning NTA, and she is, because we can say all these things, but in the end, I think she was violating a boundary. But I'm open. I am open.
Okay, I'll say everyone sucks because she obviously sucks and she sucked first. But he definitely went nuclear and he didn't really need to. And now his relationship might be strained.
So you're assuming that he had intent to show his PP.
Well, yeah, because he said like he sleeps under the covers, but he was like, but this time I slept above the covers. So yeah, I think he
You're right.
made a deliberate
That was
intention.
deliberate.
Yeah, to expose himself.
I agree that everyone sucks. Leading towards more like this was a weird flirtatious game because neither one of them told the other guy, told the boyfriend what was happening. So you're like, listen, you guys both suck. You clearly suck because you're violating boundaries. You clearly suck because you're like, okay, then this is my dick. But both of you guys suck because you were doing this in secret. Like, do you think that because the girlfriend wasn't being like, I walked in on his room again, and he wasn't like, hey, your girlfriend keeps walking in on me, so
Yeah.
everybody fucking sucks.
Right. And only when she saw his dick did she go like telling the boyfriend.
And that's because that's 7 times that they played chicken
That's
with
a
each other.
lot.
That's 7 times that she walked in knowing that she might see it because he told her she might. And that's 7 times that he didn't ask his friend to not have her do that.
Yeah.
That's 7 times that he's like, hey, don't, because he could have even just been like, hey, your girlfriend keeps waking me up for coffee. Appreciate it. No thanks. I go to Starbucks. You know, like there's,
Right.
he could have done so many of those things. And
Very
also,
true.
he's also an,
got
because
me.
he used the word untoward.
Fair enough.
That's all it takes. I like that.
All it takes.
I'm out.
Women of simple desires.
I'm with you. ESH.
All right.
We agree. You guys brought me over.
Yes.
AITA for revoking my donation that would help disadvantaged women out
Boy.
of principle.
Buckle
boy,
the
boy.
fuck up.
And this post was deleted, so we don't have a username for it because shit's about to get real.
Oh,
it's
my
so good.
God.
I'm in my 11th year of university.
Are you supposed to be in there that
Ouch.
many years?
I'm about to finish with a PhD in comp sci and chemistry. My university has a daycare on campus, and every student pays into it every year, even if you don't use it. Every year, I'm charged $31 all the way back from 2009. This is a compulsory payment automatically added to every student's account. I never used the daycare. I didn't have kids until this past May when I had a daughter. Now, my wife and I are looking at daycares, and since I both study and work at the university, why not look into their daycare? I'm on campus in case of emergency. It's free and it's convenient. But I was refused on even an application. I couldn't even apply. According to their policy, which is completely news to my ears, the daycare is only available to single women, and the application process is strenuous and strictly based on need. Think women with no one else to turn to for childcare. In a vacuum, this is a good thing. It helps disadvantaged women who really need it, but students are forced to pay into it. On their FAQ, they say you cannot opt out of that payment. All students donate into the funding pool, even if they'll never use it or can't use it. I do frontier work for the university, work that makes the university look good. We're not at the bleeding edge of my field, but with so few people in my specialization, if I left for another school, it would impact the university immensely in terms of funding. I told my supervisor, faculty head, dean, and administrative dean that I refuse to continue my work unless I'm refunded the nearly $350 that was taken from me for a service I'm not allowed to use. This money is nothing to me. I'm only doing it out of principle. It won't impact my career or PhD prospects because my direct supervisor agrees with me. I have the bargaining power because my work is worth more than $350 to the university. And after only 2 weeks of heat, it looks like they're going to relent and give me the money back. I've received numerous emails emails from faculty and even students, which I suspect is a professor or two brigading, calling me an asshole, misogynist, and downright awful person. And I want to refer to this for judgment. I do feel bad, maybe at the edge of reneging my demands because I think my voice has been heard already, but still unsure if I should proceed or just let it go. AITA.
Oh boy. Imagine going to college for 11 years and being upset over $350.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
Imagine being a scientist and being like, but my $31.
Right. No, it's nearly 350. It's not even that amount. And so I'm pissed.
It hasn't even inflated in 11 years. You should be happy for this.
Right?
Can I make a thought? Can I say something that's a really
Absolutely.
bad thought? Until he said that he was a man, I thought it was a woman.
You thought it was a woman?
I thought it was a woman right at the beginning. I was
How?
like, because even as a woman, sometimes we suck against other women.
True.
And so I was the whole
Yeah.
time I'm reading this, I go, oh, this bitch. And then I was like, oh, this dick. You know, like I like, but even halfway through, I forgot and thought it was a woman again until I saw
my
misogynist.
God.
It reads so much like a petty
Oh my God.
woman.
The
that it's-
misogyny is coming from inside the
mis-
house.
The misogyny is coming. I didn't want it to be a woman, but I thought it was a woman. I just thought I should be honest.
Wow.
Am I the
appreciate
asshole?
I think
You
that's,
are the internalized misogynist.
that's a good thing to keep in mind, you know, if how that would affect our judgment. I mean, I think
it weird? Yeah.
That is interesting. I definitely was like, man.
The most general kind of principle I can pull from this is like this idea that, you know, everything you pay to a university benefits you, which I
Right,
think is
no.
like, it's like so
Because there are so many
hilariously
fees
wrong.
that are built in. Like my school had this fee for just like entertainment and all the concerts. If I
Right.
don't go to every single concert, do I get $10 back a year?
course
No.
not.
I also it's also feels like this is something that should have all the information about it should have been disclosed. I feel like he should have not had to ask or had to find out that
Right.
it was just for single women for these things. Like it should be like
Right.
very clear. Like this is what
I
this
agree.
is going
that
for.
should have been a crystal
Like,
clear line item.
yes,
You know,
yeah,
that's what you're paying for.
very
That-
crystal
that's,
clear.
that's fair. That's
it seemed
transparency.
like
Yeah.
he was under the impression like, oh, this is just free daycare for anyone on campus and never gave it a second thought. Now that he has a kid, is like, oh, let's look into it. And it's like, oh, it's need-based. Meh.
Yeah, that's a really good. Like he was just assuming what it
assumed a
was, and
lot.
then he's mad that his assumption for possibly years was complete bullshit.
True. So maybe the information was there and he just chose
Exactly.
to-
probably just
glazed
didn't
over
know.
it because it had
Yeah.
no relevance to him. Bailey T
Exactly.
writes, if you were low income NTA, but you can clearly afford to drop $350 to help struggling single women, you douche YTA. Now, I think this is going to bring us to an interesting point
Mm-hmm.
because if the guy was low income, he would be excluded from
Well,
this.
he would qualify.
No, it's only for women.
single women.
Single women.
Well,
For all the
Okay.
single ladies, all the single ladies.
So, given if that was true, ladies, what do you say? Because I say then it does seem kind of messed up.
No, because I don't think you can like pick and choose where these tuition payments go. Like it's all lumped in with his tuition. It's not an like
Well, isn't it
optional payment.
unfair that he's being excluded as a man? I mean, a single man is in a predicament.
Is he single?
I'm saying if he was a single man, he's not. He's a taken.
I
man,
can't
but
comment on this matter because I'm going to
If he
give
was
too
a
much
single
away.
poor man, well, you can comment. Just imagine.
Well, this
it-
would never happen because this would be a Title IX violation. You could not have this at a university, I don't
So
think.
it would be wrong.
Yeah, it would be against the law, so it wouldn't exist. It would not. You could. It could be
limit does
based
not
on
exist?
need. The limit does not exist. It could be based on need, but it can't be like only single women can apply to this.
Right. That's not possible.
I'm pretty sure it would be a Title IX violation.
Jillian W. writes, you are the most privileged arsehole I've ever seen in this page or indeed read it. You can afford daycare, but you want the free daycare that is provided for underprivileged women at your school. When you go on vacation, do you insist that you get to sleep for free in the local homeless shelter because fuck paying for a hotel when your taxes pay to house homeless drug addicts? I actually struggle to believe that you have a child because I can't imagine any woman finding your stingy behavior in any way attractive enough to fuck.
Whoa!
Oh my God.
kind
Here's
of
the
big.
thing
Kind of
though.
my hero. I want Jillian in my group text. Jillian, DM me later.
Jill. But here's,
seriously,
I think that that's a bit of an unfair comment because we're all making the assumption that he knew. I think that this sounds like something that he just thought it was literally on campus daycare. It
Right.
wasn't like he was like, I want to take from the women. He was like, oh, there's on campus daycare.
Right.
I have a kid. I would like to make it easy for myself where I go to school and then I go pick up my
Right.
kid. And then he found out about it. And then, of course, there was probably a little bitterness of like, oh, that sucks because I've been paying this. And now I can't even use it for when he thought thought it was, but I think it's a little unfair to tell him for somebody to be like, oh, you did this on purpose, when like, it sounds like he was just a guy that thought it was free daycare on campus.
It's not like he went to this university for the past 11 years because he was like, oh, a couple years down the line, they're going to have free daycare.
No,
now
but I
he's
don't think
asking for a weird retroactive refund.
Yeah, but I don't think he knew it was for them before.
He clearly didn't, and now he's salty. But
yeah, but I mean, to say like, oh, what do you want to stay in a homeless shelter? It's like he didn't know that it was like. I mean, it's
kind of funny.
No, Julian is a hero, but I don't. I think it's unfair to say that he knew it before.
You're right. Look, let's cut to the chase here, because I can feel we're sort of in this like narrative tension that Sarah and I know what's going to happen. The top Reddit comment, okay, the Reliar.
So fucking good.
Looks at it in its first in action, looks at the camera like Jim from The Office. YTA. Okay, so I know who you are. This is too OP. This is
funny. This is funny.
I'm also affiliated with this university, and I work closely with the Early Childhood Education Center. We've got someone on the inside.
There we go.
Yes.
This is an income eligible program. We receive some funding from the federal government that allows us to open spots to the larger community. The student fee exists to add additional spots that the federal funding would not allow us to have. With the student fee slots, you must be a full-time student enrolled at the university to be eligible to even apply. And then the slots have the same income restrictions as the federally funded spots. In no way, shape, or form is a program only open to single parents. In fact, most of our community spots are two-parent households. Eligibility is entirely determined by space availability, income limits, and student status. Yeah, so the first thing is he's completely wrong. There is no single women. All the single ladies is a song, not a government requirement, as you said.
Damn it. No, but it's true. And that's why I think people are justified in calling him a misogynist, because he's railing against these non-existent single mothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When that's really not even accurate.
Yeah, and it's a stereotype that's been around since I think the 80s is when that became the idea of the welfare queen. This is sort of a different manifestation of that. So this person goes on, you came in and asked what paperwork you need to fill out to have your child start in October. You were informed there is currently a 3 to 5 month waiting list for the infant program, and we're offered paperwork to fill out to get on the wait list.
Which also seems normal for daycares, at least like in New York. I know it's like a fucking nightmare. You have to have like 65 references and an 800,000 credit score or whatever.
Yeah. Where did the baby
and still
work?
wait for 3 years. Yeah, exactly.
Where did the baby go to college before he goes to preschool?
Exactly.
So I kind of summarized because this is going a little bit long, but OP basically got upset about the wait list. He vastly exceeded the household income limit because he personally doesn't make that much money, but it's about the household income, which is, how much his wife and him make. And then OP ended up dropping this quote. So if I was a single mom with a deadbeat baby daddy, not working and getting an education, living off food stamps and welfare, I could get daycare, but because I'm actually contributing to this world, I get nothing.
Well, that changes everything.
Wow, literally go fuck yourself.
And the program director, clearly freaking Gandhi times the fucking Dalai Lama, was like, if you were a full-time student who was a single parent and was eligible for various government programs, then yes, you would be within the income limits for the center. Your child would not qualify for the community side yet because they're too young for that program. In either case, there would still be a waiting list. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Damn.
Like, how can you be such a monster who is that out of touch with reality when you're like, hey, I got them to refund my $350 fee, when it's like, yeah, dude, they just don't want to deal with you because you're such a raging asshole.
So he didn't give us the whole thing in the spiel.
And I think,
which is pretty common on Reddit.
I think it's common, but I also think like he got seriously angry, and anger will blind you. And that's true. He saw it a certain way and he got all huffy, and that's it.
I mean, he has a whole slew of biases to work through. Sure.
Yeah, you're right. Well, a lot of that is unconscious. I mean, the whole thing was a bias. He saw a daycare and he's like, a daycare is here, so I get a daycare.
But the fact that he literally is saying a single mom with a deadbeat dad, so let's say a woman who has a kid and gets screwed over by that child's father, who is getting an education, not contributing to society, that's how he sees that type of person. It's like, you have a lot of issues that you need to work through. That's literally what he described. If I was a single mom and I was living off of food stamps, if I had government assistance and I was going to school full time, getting an education.
So that I could eventually contribute, which was his argument of saying like, I'm actually contributing.
It's like, because I've been in a fucking professional academic for the last 11 years, I'm contributing to society. And this woman who's clearly working hard is not. Like, seriously, I'm so mad about this.
Yeah. And the kind of irony too of these fucking like academic types, it's like your job literally would not exist. You probably do some abstruse produce fucking useless ass math. Like your job exists because we have a social structure called universities. It's essentially welfare for, autistic geniuses.
Yeah. And that statement truly changes everything. Him just feeling like the need to plop that, to put that on somebody is
Right.
just kind of changes the whole thing. Cause I was like, I can kind of understand why he would be pissed, blah, blah, blah. But then like be pissed and then to actually say something horrible like that is
I'm just
a
so
little bit
mad.
terrible.
I'm like, oh, just because you're rich enough or you're taking on enough debt
Sounds like
to
his
be in
wife
school
is
for
rich
over
enough.
a decade. Right. I'm just so mad at this guy. Like, fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah. Cause it's like, how much are you really contributing if you're still learning?
That's funny.
Right. You couldn't get through of it in 4 years of school like the rest of us. You had to do it for 11.
11
Yeah,
years.
for chemistry, buddy, I had one class junior year. One class.
Casey's a genius.
Let me tell you. Yeah. Bunsen Beakers and me, friends. Friends.
Sounds like a fun sitcom.
I think he's a dick. He needs to learn about, and also I think there's a conservative notion worth addressing, which I think is false and toxic, which is that like people like to work. People like to feel useful. Nobody, I mean, I know, okay. I was unemployed for 9 months this year and it wasn't great. It wasn't great. I wanted to like work on my art and I fell apart because I need structure.
Free time sucks. No,
It
free
sucks.
time sucks.
And so does occupy time also sucks. but
Working 80 hours a week sucks, but also like, yeah, you need some structure.
life just kind of sucks, but everything
sucks.
is a little better.
Your balcony. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there we go. It's at the balcony. So bottom line, I think we all agree this guy, he threw a big hissy fit. He came at basically random victims.
Who don't even exist. Like he used this random straw man argument that doesn't even apply to this situation.
Yeah.
To push his like shitty agenda
For $300.
for $300
He
fucking dollars.
sounds- he
I
sounds
want to
like
go
an
so
idiot.
real life and like find out what university this is at, and then find out like an update. Like I'm seriously
Yeah.
dying for one.
Right.
Yeah, because I worked at the Child Development Center at my college, and it was, I mean, single parents, married people, like it was everybody.
Yeah. So bottom line, AITA for revoking my donation that would help disadvantaged women out of principle. I think we all agree. YTA.
Yeah.
All right, now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, listener submissions. AITA for plopping down my goods, forcing the checkout guy to reach. Yesterday, I went to a place I've loved since I was a child, which I still am. Best Buy. I wanted to get a new phone case. Lo and behold, they were on sale. Only $19.99 for a nice OtterBox. I need an OtterBox because I drop my phone weekly, usually while gesticulating wildly in front of an indifferent person.
Relatable.
In classic NYC fashion, the store is ground level and you have to go downstairs to use the checkout. Nightmare, right? I head down and approach the counter. There was no line, and instead of just handing the checkout guy my OtterBox, I plopped it down on the counter so that he had to reach for it. He said something like, so this is what you want? Not realizing my plop, I then apologized because the case was outside the box. I inspected it for quality. It was a little weird he said that, and I noticed his name, Rudy. Rudy. Rudy checks out at the checkout. That checks out. Rudy scanned it, and I threw in my Best Buy card immediately. I have so little going for me, it's actually a point of pride that I'm a Best Buy member. At that point, he said the OB, that's the OtterBox, was actually $60. Some blowhard had actually put it on a $20 rack. I said I'd go see and asked if the transaction had gone through. He said it had not. I went upstairs, and Best Buy ISIS had indeed moved the OtterBox Pro idiot-proof protector to the OtterBox You're Kind of Stupid flimsy case rack. You hate to see it. I left Best Buy pissed, frustrated that I had the actual Best Buy, but then was told it was a false buy. I boarded the subway, and once on the train, checked my email, rushed to get to dinner. Now, one of the perks of being a Best Buy member, besides being unfuckable, is that you get receipts right away. And there I saw it, $30 for a phone charger. What the F? I was shocked. $30. This made no sense. Guilt-ridden as I am, I could only assume this was a punishment from God or rude E. I replayed our interaction in my head, and it was at this point I realized I had plopped. I was a plopper. I could have handed him the goods like a human being, but no. I had plopped a decidedly Karen behavior, forcing the dreaded reach. And that's why he had asked his passive aggro question. It all made sense. I tried calling the store, was put on hold for 20 minutes, no go. We had a dinner rezo, so now as punishment for my plopping, I must go to Best Buy on Saturday morning and fight for my $30, all for a stupid phone case. AITA.
I hate this person. Is she auditioning for a writing role or something? Like, is she trying to write haikus?
Yeah, they get a lot of people from Reddit.
Half the part when she was like, I boarded the subway and once on the train, I literally was shocked she didn't rhyme something with train.
Yeah.
Like, who is this woman?
Right.
This is for sure a woman.
For sure a woman, huh?
This person seems so high maintenance to me.
Yeah.
That it's like, I have no words for this interaction of any. I have no words for this whole thing, truly.
I mean, I think, look, it's a thing. Plopping. Have you heard of plopping before?
Is it just putting something down?
Yeah, it's like when you. Yeah, it's a little rude. Like retail workers hate this. It's when you just like they're not wrong. Like what they did was like vaguely rude. Like you it's like when you put an item down and then they have to reach across. Like it's kind of like
it's a little annoying.
I guess I haven't checked out at Best Buy enough to know the spatial logistics
it's
of where
any
she
checkout
put it.
counter, Casey. Have you ever plopped?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm not a plopper. Stop singing plopper at me. No, I mean, I feel like I'm considerate. I feel like I try to help people, but also like sometimes just do your job. Like there's part of me sometimes that like, you know, when people are like, can you hang everything back up? I'm like, I mean, also do your job. Like also sometimes I always do.
That sounds like such a fucking plopper quote right there.
Listen,
just do your job. I'm not going to hang it up. No, but that's true. That's
you know,
interesting.
when you get out, you know, there's sometimes when people are like, just can you hang it up and put it back? You're like, what do you do? Like, I'm not going to leave the place in shambles, but I'm also not going to like redo the now I sound like an asshole.
Well, that's curious. That's curious.
It is curious.
You're talking about you go to a fancy clothes store.
Or just go anywhere when
you mean like if you're in a Target?
It's the same. If you're
in a Target, you got to even fold the clothes for yourself. You got to like do it all.
Every single time I'm in a Target, they're like, just bring everything back on the hangers.
This is a
and
Target
you're like,
thing. Wait, no, you always put your stuff back on the hanger.
I always do.
But they'll hang it back for you wherever it goes in the store.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you go to Target, you're going to get your clothes, you're going to go to the dressing room, but then you need to put it back on the hanger, but you don't have to put the hanger back to where you got it. Is that what you're saying?
Right, you're not supposed to because you'll fuck it up. You don't understand their organizational system.
That seems fair to me.
But maybe that was a bad maybe the example I want to use more. I want to go back in time is the one where when Airbnb, when they charge you a cleaning fee, but then also tell you take the trash out and do all this shit.
Oh, yeah,
and it's like, well, then what the fuck am I paying for?
No, that's kind
so
of
that's what I'm saying. So that's why this is where my thing in a plopping is. It's like, if you're the guy that's supposed to take the thing from me and ring it in, if I put it down, does that matter? I'm not putting it on another checkout stand. I'm just going to.
Yeah. Unless you do it in a passive aggressive way, I feel like you're kind of. You don't have to like hand your checkout person every single thing. Like I went to the fruit
you don't
stand.
hand them every single thing. It's if there's one thing you can just clean hand it to them so they don't have to read. Like that's weird. It's like it would take you the same amount of effort virtually.
So does this person think that this checkout guy put a fraudulent charge just because he semi-rudely placed something on the counter? That's a little bit of a reach.
I got that.
I didn't even mean it that way, but I don't think this guy cares that much. I feel like it was a series of isolated mistakes.
I think there are some corner cases here with the what can you get away with at various retailers or stores. And one we've talked about is a coffee shop. You go to the coffee shop, you get your Frappuccino, you got your muffin plate. When you're done, can you leave it on the table?
It depends on the place.
Oh, if they've waited on me.
There's no. I'm talking about coffee shop. There's no waiters.
Oh. You bring it up. But here's the thing. I've had both experiences, but I also served in restaurants for 10 years. So I change toilet paper rolls at bars. Like, you know what I mean? Like I fucking
do that too.
Absolutely.
It's rude not to if it's right there.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean you do that as a non-worker?
Yes.
Yeah, I've done
That's
it.
what I'm saying. Like I'll go to a
it's
bar.
Right there
I'll change
and I finish the toilet paper.
Nothing I don't need to touch at a bar.
Or like a restaurant, if like they
Yeah.
have the little basket of all the toilet papers and you finish it, you don't be a dick.
Like sometimes I'll
Guys,
open
I'm
a cabinet.
great to live with. Very pleasant and polite.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. But somebody would say, Casey, what you just said. They go, I'm going to leave my Frappuccino because that's their job. Isn't it their job to clean the tables? They got to clean them later anyway.
I also understand that. But here's the thing too. What I was going to tell you is I've had both sides of it. I've then brought my plate up and sometimes they're like, just leave it on the table.
Yeah, like I gossip.
Do you know what I mean?
Where
Like
do you
that-
lose
that
that
has
shit?
never happened to me.
I've had that before. I'm like, can I just put on the counter? And people like sometimes people are really like, I'll bring it back up to the cashier and they'll kind of be like, this is the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
to
then
the
they get a little
cashier,
weird.
you got to take it to the part where they keep the shit.
No, but sometimes it's unclear and they don't have like a good spot. And it's like, what the fuck do I do with this? I'm rude no matter what I
right.
do. I'm thinking of one specific place.
yeah.
I just think it's dangerous thinking to be like, well, isn't that your job? Isn't that your job? I think the better approach is, what can I do to make this person's shitty life? These are shitty jobs. That's where I'm going with this, right?
Okay.
Because when you said that thing about Target, I'm like, please be nice to the fucking people at Target
I'm
making
never
$7 an hour. Whereas
The
if
minimum
I'm
wage is 15.
Yeah, it's 15.
Oh, well, maybe you're at Target
Yeah.
in Jersey. But if you're at Nordstrom's, yeah, fuck you. Like, I'm not gonna fucking. I'm paying $400 for a T-shirt. You're
Yeah.
gonna fucking
That's
put it
funny
back,
because they
dog.
probably get paid the same
No, they do
low
not.
wage. At Nordstrom?
At Nordstrom's, they are salaried. I know. I have a friend who works
Yeah.
at Nordstrom, and they make good money.
Wow, quitting my job.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
No, I'm not so much, isn't that your job? But there are certain times when it's kind of just like, what is everybody doing? I mean, I have whole jokes about how I don't think anybody can do their job because it truly feels like if you've ever talked to anybody or ever had to deal with any kind of government thing or help, at what point does anybody have to take a little responsibility for their own job? I mean, we're bagging our own groceries. We're doing everything ourselves. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
I'm checking out myself at the self-checkout, but just because I want to get out there faster.
100%. At a certain point, I just really want somebody, I want to interact with one person that knows how to do their job.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what I'm thinking. But you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of my thing of like, I'm like, just can one person just fucking do something?
Yeah.
Just one.
Just one.
And I'm sure that people have said that about me as well. So
Right,
I'm not
right.
exempt from this, but I've never been qualified for a single job I've done. So like, I'm speaking from a place of love and personal experience.
Well, okay, to your point, Danny, I get what you're saying. However, you're working retail, you're working at Best Buy, you're doing a shitty job. You've probably experienced way worse in the last hour than someone just not simply handing you a phone case. So either this person is the most like vengeful guy alive, or it was a simple accident. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't think that this guy is like seeking retribution by like doing a fraudulent charge, and I don't think it's the rudest thing you can do. Obviously, not by a mile.
I don't know. I don't think that either. But I just think like I was a barista for 2 months.
Yeah.
And I know I served my
Wow,
time.
thank you for your service. Thank you so much for your tour of Coffee Bean.
It was
Thank
quite a
you.
tour. I fought for our great espresso nation. Now, I feel to me the hardest part was, being treated
Entitlement.
like a barista.
Absolutely.
And that's, I think this is another it's a dehumanizing slight. Can I get that?
Totally.
It can be.
It can be.
Sometimes people are not malicious. Sometimes people are just idiots.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
Assholes.
That doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
Absolutely. But also but also your argument, if you want people to give you the benefit of the doubt, you have to also do the same thing. To be like, maybe this person also is just like texting a doctor about a dead relative. Maybe they're also just an asshole that lives in a fucking mansion somewhere and they don't care about anybody else.
Right.
But there's always like there could also be something else that's going on. What if like you plopped it because you have baby arms? Like there's a lot of different things.
Well, I think the person would mention they have a baby arm. That would be odd. Going back to the story, people really did not like this story. Sydney L writes, "This is a terrible story. The cashier made a mistake after you absently mindlessly acted rudely." Weirdly adverby sentence.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. Writing all of this out, so we had to read it YTA.
So funny.
Yeah.
My other thing was also maybe the guy just got confused because the OP was like, oh, I'm going to check it and come back. And then seemingly just never came back. Like he just ghosted.
Again.
Eileen C writes, "Is this another plot from Arrested Development, Danny?" So this is such an assault on me. So I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I put a Curb Your Enthusiasm plot as an "Am I the asshole?" It was like a fun thing I did. So this girl doesn't
that's
even
fun.
realize it. I would never do that for Arrested Development.
Oh, that's funny. I always conflate those two shows in my head.
Sarah,
I'm sorry.
That actually creates.
I've actually
I'm
watched
angry.
both of them too.
They're pretty different.
I know.
Mint B writes, YTA, for some reason I read the whole post in Julie Louis Dreyfus's voice.
Not her name.
Yeah, it's Julia.
Come on.
Oh, yeah, it's Julia. They spelled it wrong. I didn't say it wrong, people. Anna Marie Calisi says, this is so poorly written and makes no sense. Trevor T writes, it sounds like some drunk grandpa telling a convoluted story, which sounds more like a riddle than a cohesive narrative.
I mean, there were a lot of extraneous details, like the fact that you have to go down the escalator at the Best Buy. Like, why is that relevant?
Nobody wants to do that. I see this person's point. Andrea P writes, I couldn't even finish this. Get a ghostwriter. You're the fucking worst.
Get her.
The fucking worst?
The worst.
Wow, worse than fucking Mohammed Atta even. Okay.
Worst.
Beth H writes, this is the worst thing I've ever read. Amber Wright says, YTA only because the tone of this is so self-serving. You think you are hilarious when in fact you are just an obnoxious ass.
Amber.
I would bet money this is a story that never happened.
Get her, girl.
Stephanie N writes, YTA, this reads like if Seinfeld, if he smoked crack. Brandon W said, post this on our cringe. Cade writes, just submitting this trash makes you the asshole. And whoever decided we all needed to waste our time reading this terrible narration of this series of events is quite an asshole as well. So I'm the asshole, according to Cade, because I posted it. And you don't know this, Casey, but I also wrote this, not a woman.
No, you didn't.
I did, yeah.
I knew it like 30 sentences in because all the dumbass abbreviations. I was like, Danny, you fucking wrote this, didn't you?
No, you wrote this?
Yeah, I did. And
Danny.
it is true. I really did. I mean, I got a little funny about it, and obviously people don't like my little jokey jokes, but I really did.
I hated this so much.
I know, that's fair. That's fair.
Once I got to dinner rezo, I was like, I'm going to kill myself. And Danny wrote this.
I had a rezo. What's the problem?
No wonder why
hate
you were
this.
so overprotective of the worker.
I was
Because
overprotective.
you are the worker.
Well, no.
No,
And
he's not. Did you get your $30 back?
so here's the truth, guys. The $30 was a myth.
Oh my God.
What had happened is when you put in your Best Buy card, it remembers like your Best Buy information.
Okay.
But it doesn't actually do your credit card. That takes like a second.
Oh, wait,
you know
this is
what I
a
mean?
So it was
true
like
story.
like
This
a
is
hold?
a true story.
Oh, I
It's
thought
all true.
I thought you wrote this as like a
Fanfic?
Yes.
Oh,
I thought
God,
you wrote it as like
no.
a funny thing.
Oh, God.
That's why I was like, oh, you're protecting. You're taking
Oh, no,
the
it's
side of
all
this.
real. It's all
Oh,
real.
you are the Karen.
This is me in
Yes.
one. Yeah, like I
Oh.
wrote this I wrote it in one fell swoop and I didn't reread it or edit it. I did make a very wise decision to post it anonymously. And then I posted it because I was like, we need to put some stuff in the group. And this happened to me last night and I was having a panic attack about it.
No.
Wait, so was the $30 charge like a hold?
It was not a charge. In a freak coincidence,
Same.
it was the following customer after me was named Ruben, which I was like, yeah, the employee's name is Rudy and his real name is Ruben. He goes by Rudy. For some reason that made sense to me.
Is that a common thing?
No,
Okay.
it's not, but it kind of, you could see how if you were looking at the receipt come in, I was like, oh yeah, because Ruben was the guy, he was Rudy.
Okay.
So then my mind was like, oh, and that's his name because he was the guy who like rung me up and fucked me with this $30 charge.
Okay.
So then when I went to Best Buy, this guy's like, no, this is the person who was charged. Ruben was charged. And I was like, oh.
Wait, so they just ran your Best Buy card?
They just gave me this guy's points. This story actually benefited me. I got 30 Best Buy points. So if you guys want a Mountain Dew at Best Buy, that shit is on me, dog. And yes, they do have Mountain Dew there.
Well, I'm sorry for all this shit I talked about.
No, this is a Trojan horse.
We've just learned that Casey is an even bigger sexist than we thought. I
know.
Because she thought it was a woman the whole time.
A woman's favorite store is Best Buy?
Because she said I acted
Like a Karen?
like a Karen, and that threw
you
me
know
off.
what? Karen is a gender neutral term.
Thank you, Sarah. Amen to that
is
shit.
now.
Now, there are a couple comments here. First of all, I would like to plead protection from double jeopardy, which I believe is an amendment, because Kate M said, I'm an asshole for posting it, and I'm an asshole for submitting it. Sarah, can I get some relief? Not guilty of one of these jeopardies?
Okay, well, you only did one.
Aha, okay, so great.
So you submitted and posted it at the same time, kind of, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
In effect.
So it's not double jeopardy. It's just one crime.
You're just the asshole for submitting it.
That's fair.
There we go. Yeah, because I was going to say, I actually don't think either one of you, the story, I don't think either one person is the asshole. The only thing I was annoyed with was the goofy puns and stuff like that. That's the only
thing. You guys hated them.
Oh my God.
so
them
much.
so much.
Checkout.
Rude E.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun. I'm fun.
It's very silly.
fun.
But I was going to say, I don't think either person is the asshole. I don't think you were malicious. I don't think they were malicious.
You know, and I actually love this comment the most, even though it was meant in a very mean way. Tommy M writes, "This is the most solipsistic drivel I've read in quite some time." And a solipsist, what is a solipsist? It's someone who believes the only reality that's real is what's in their own head.
Whoa.
Or how does it go? I might have it wrong. How does it go? What is a solipsist?
I don't know. I was gonna. It was way big. Is a way bigger word than I'm
Sarah, Google
prepared to deal with.
solipsist. I feel like I'm on the right track, but I don't have it
That's
exactly.
an interesting word to use.
My friend Paul gave me this great insight, and I've been chewing on this for some time.
Yeah.
And it's that when you, like, let's say I do something rude to you. We're going to get lunch, and then I no show. No call, no show. I fuck you over. And then I'll do something like this. I go, "Casey, I'm such a piece of shit. I'm such a bad person. Fuck me. I'm awful. I'm sorry." And I did that to him, and he goes, "Don't do that, because when you do that, and you're still making it about you,
Right, it's manipulative.
It's manipulative." And so I've tried to stop doing that.
Because you're forcing the other person to comfort you when you did the bad thing.
This is true.
I didn't even know
That's why. You're forcing them implicitly to be like, "No, you're not a bad person."
Because
it's a big sign of like emotional abuse in relationships. Sorry to bring it back there all the time.
No,
constantly on the lookout.
Okay.
But you know what? Because what I've learned as I've gotten older, it's so hard to just say one thing without any explanation when you don't need to. Like if you meant, I'm sorry.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Like, but it's so hard to not write a whole like, and because now when I see people like do something like that, I'm like, just say you can't go. Like, I don't need to know what, like you've now given me 5 things, which makes me now I'm pissed. But if you just couldn't go, you know what I mean? Like it's the more simple, and then it's nobody's hurt and you're a grown up and nobody cares. Cause I'm never offended when somebody has to do something. You know what I mean? So it's I think we don't have to worry about that with other people. Just sorry.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. Hit us with the definition of solipsism.
Is the philosophical idea that only one's mind is sure to exist.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Great. So I was
The
kind of on the right track.
external world and
Yeah, you
other
are.
minds cannot be known and might not exist outside the mind. So it's basically just like you can only judge your own experiences, I guess. And they're saying you can't judge other people's.
It's kind of like a self-centered, like the only real thing is what's in my own head, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I like this.
It's
I was
self-serving.
Like, exactly. And that made me realize like, I really did go through this, and I really was like, I was a dick to this person. I plopped. That's why he made this comment. And I felt real guilt for that, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like the dude was just confused. I don't know. I didn't read any malice into anyone's.
No, I thought
He was just like, "Oh, is that what you want?" And then you were like, "Yeah, I'm sorry." And
But
then
it was a little slower. It wasn't like, "Is that what you want?" It was like, "So is that what you want?" Like, it was like, he was kind of saying like, "You're being an asshole, dude."
But then were you like, "Oh yeah, dude, I'm sorry."
Well, I said, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," because I thought he was referring to the phone case outside of the box.
So what happened? You took the phone outside the box. You put both separately on the counter.
No, I put the phone case on top of the phone case box, and I just plopped it on the fucking counter.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
Like how
Maybe you're the asshole for like taking the shit outside the box.
That's what you're gonna come for me now?
Yeah, that's rude.
Okay.
I also
just
think
saying.
that we should make a rule for yourself that anything that happens at Best Buy will not send you into a spiral.
Yeah, I like that.
Do you know
Thank
what I
you.
mean? Like there is no reason that you ever needed to think about that guy ever again.
It's my happy place.
Unless Rudy's
I'm not
listening.
proud of
Yes.
it.
No, Best Buy
Love
can
you,
be your
man.
happy place, but you don't ever have to think that you offended Rudy because you put something on a counter.
Yeah.
You can't punish yourself for that for this long.
Yeah.
You
Part
know
of
what?
me.
I one time. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, part of me feels like this reads like a Bob's Burgers episode for some reason.
Wow.
Like
You
all
were
these abbreviations.
Pubing out. I
feel
was
like,
totally pubing out.
yeah.
Pubing out. I wanted to say another thing to what you said about just putting a period on it, like when you make a statement. And
put a period on
we've
it.
said something like this before, but like especially when you say I'm sorry, I really think what you're saying when you say I'm sorry is I'm sorry, and I will listen to you speak now, because that is almost always the next part of an apology is that you are seeking understanding of what you have done, right?
From the other person.
Yes.
Yes, of course. Of course, when you can just be sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And then you're going to listen to them. That's really, rather than fucking trying to build your case or whatever, be defensive.
Yeah,
right? It's like,
there's
listen.
yeah.
So
we don't have to paint them the whole, we don't have to be like, oh, well, the temperature, and it was like, you don't have to paint the story around a reason when the reason can just be what it is with no other freaking bells and whistles. But that's only come as I've gotten old. I mean, I used to sit up at night and I still sometimes, you just feel guilty about all these things that have ever happened in your entire life. And then you sometimes you delete everything that you've written and then you just write the one sentence and you put a period at it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, Reddit says that all the time. They're always like, listen, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to be like, oh, I can't go to the party. My hamster's been kind of sick. And then I have my friend sick from out of town.
Yeah,
like,
I just got back.
And like, yeah, sorry, you just can't stay with me. Cause like, it's super like whatever. And they're always just like, no is a complete sentence. And I'm like, what a revolutionary concept. But it actually is.
I don't know. I'm struggling with that one a little bit.
It's very hard. It's really hard.
There's some nuance there. Like if I say, hey, Sarah, you want to get brunch this weekend? You just write back a no. I'm going to be like, all right, well, I'm never asking you again then.
It's more like, oh, hey, Sarah, can me and my 5 closest friends, and I haven't spoken to you in 17 years, come stay at your apartment?
Yeah.
17
it's like,
yeah.
no. Yeah, we were cool when we were 10, but now it's like, okay, come on, Julie.
Yeah. Or are you gonna go to the party tonight? No, I'm not gonna make it.
Exactly.
That's it. And I'm not. You don't have to say why.
It's not just like no period. Like that's passive aggressive as hell. I used that on Friday. I felt so powerful.
Ooh.
Actually, it was just aggressive. But no, it just means like you can just say no, I can't, or like sorry, no.
There doesn't have to be any reason besides that.
Casey, you had mentioned something that I thought was pretty funny, which is, excuse me.
Speaking
that's
of,
okay with you.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking
of passive aggressive, we were saying, obviously in New York, I think we could all go off on something that happens on the subway every day
until I die.
But there's something that for me always feels ruder when someone says excuse me. You're like, I get it, you need to go past me. But when someone says excuse me please, I always feel like that sounds for something about excuse me please makes me feel like it's ruder than just push me next time. Just fucking push me in front of the train.
Go on.
I mean, but it's serious. Like, excuse me please. It's like now you're going to use manners when you're trying to shove me out of the way. You know what I mean? Like it just feels
so funny.
Excuse me please, and you're like, what am I going to say? Thank you out? Or I don't know. It's just weird. You know what I mean? Like I hate excuse me please.
Ugh.
Excuse me, please. Feels entitled.
It feels entitled. That's interesting.
Entitled.
So, Sarah, you were saying that you possibly experienced something worse than an excuse me, please.
Oh, yeah, God. It was so bizarre. I texted my friends about it. They haven't responded. Sophie. So I was going to
Sophie.
I love her, but still, I haven't stopped thinking about this. It's been 2 hours. I was going down the escalator, walking down the escalator on the left side, as you do. Some girl was kind of standing in the middle, which is like a no-no. And this other girl comes around. She's like at least my age, definitely like a grown enough adult to like know words. And she comes around. This girl's not moving. Instead of saying, excuse me, she goes, beep, beep.
I can't.
And I'm like, beep, beep. What? That's like so kind of mean and condescending in these 2 small repetitive sounds. And then I went into this like language spiral. And then I was like, well, maybe she doesn't speak English. Like maybe like, I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I think she just, that was her move. And I have so many follow-up questions. Yeah.
Did you say you're on the left side of the escalator?
Yeah, to walk.
Oh, because you were actively walking.
I was walking.
And she was walking even faster than you?
She was like, I think she was just in front of me.
I feel like
What do you mean she was in front of you?
So there was one girl in the middle. There was one girl walking in front of me. And then I was like behind her.
So how could she beep you if you're behind her?
She beeped the girl who was in the middle, who was not moving.
Oh, it wasn't a beep at you. You were offended on someone else's behalf.
I was spectating. I was like, what did I just see?
She
witnessed the beep. Because I feel like you can say beep like to a family member.
So I was looking for like 2 minutes. I was like, oh, is this girl going to come around and be like, oh my God, hey. And like, it didn't happen. Like I thought they knew each other because that's acceptable.
Right.
But they were just, and she kept walking after the beep. And I was like, there was no recognition.
Are we so deep in technology that like we're not even using words? We're just saying swipe, beep,
right?
beep. I'm like,
yeah. Whenever I make a left turn, I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my God, if somebody clicked at me, well, I would probably move because I think it's like, that's the thing is that like we hear these sounds that we probably will like move because what else are you going to do? But also then, but then secretly be like, what the hell was that?
Next time I got to get around someone, I'm going to be like, skirt. So they move out of the way.
You know what? One time a guy was doing like a tight pass on me, like maybe you're blocking someone and they can squeeze by, but it's like a tight pass. And
do
he
it all the
put
time.
his hand on my lower back.
Welcome to womanhood.
I've heard that this happens to women all the time, but I simply told him, there's no touching, sir.
Yes.
And he fucking went off on me. He was ready to fight me.
Why? I'm going to borrow that next time.
And was that?
I'm going to borrow that for next
There's
time.
no touching. Sorry.
Yeah.
So what happened? Why was he mad?
Yeah. What did he say?
He was like, what is that? Well, what do you mean there's no? And I was like, there's no touching. Like, that's just how it is. And I think he called me an asshole, or he used a slur or something. I don't know. But
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I like kept a distance from him because he seemed like he was in a wife beater. So he probably.
Oh
would've fought.
God.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah,
he's
yeah,
into
yeah.
touching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, it was dark. Whatever. I said what I said.
Well, Casey, it's been such a blast.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
having
much.
me.
I think you kind
Yay.
of teased something, so I want to make sure we plug Not Another True Crime podcast.
Yes.
So tell these people where they can find you. You've got your album coming out
do.
shortly. It can be pre-ordered on iTunes.
Yes, and I have a link in the bio of my Instagram, which is at KSpaceB, CASEFACEB. Also, if you want to go to Facebook for some reason, I have the album in the link there as well.
Great. Son of a Barb.
Son of a Barb. That's what it's called. Out October 10th.
And I will throw a link to your Twitter
Thank
and
you.
your Insta in the description. Thanks
Woo.
so much.
Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure. And this episode is sponsored by OtterBox. I actually still don't have one. They're too fucking expensive. All right, guys, that's the show. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next Monday morning.